What's up, guys? This is Errol from ErrolTheAdventurer.com, and we're looking at the back of the American seal, which is the all-seeing eye. If you look at the back of your $1 bill, you'll see this, and it says Novus Ordo Seclorum. You can Google what that means. Now, I'm not saying that this is what it is. I'm just having a little fun because I'm an artist. But watch this. Ready? Ooh, I'm just kidding. Illumination. Like, cause they say it's Illuminati stuff. What does Illuminati mean? Well, I know illumination means, it means the light. So, I don't know. I'm just playing around, though. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm totally kidding. Oh, so check out my website. I also have an ebook, I'm Not Insane, I'm Informed, and Thank You for Your Time by Errol Fisher on Amazon.com. Check that out. Peace. So I was listening to Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and somebody actually had the courage to ask him about what he thought about alien abductions, and he went into about how there was no proof, and that he suggested that whoever's being abducted by aliens should maybe swipe something from the aliens. Now, I live in Polk County, Florida, and I know quite a few people who made stealing a career choice. And kind of like rule number one in that game is, people with nice things normally have security and surveillance equipment installed. So, and who wants to end up on Moon Prison? Zeta Reticular Jail. Something that's coming across time and space beyond our means is more than likely going to have a security system and security.
So you think you could dance? Oh, you think you could dance? So you think you could dance? Oh, you think you could dance? Just move. Just move. Just move. Oh, you think you could dance? So you think you could dance? Oh, you think you could dance?
What's up, guys? This is Errol from ErrolTheAdventurer.com, and I was thinking about science and knowledge and how science and knowledge is ever evolving, and how observations can be totally correct and still incomplete. For instance, think of a dog in cars, and a dog knows that cars aren't alive. A human has to get in it and make it go. And then a child might look at it like, well, it's deeper than that. Actually, you have to stick a key in and step on the gas pedal and things like that. And then a mechanic like, well, it's not that simple. It actually has to have an engine in it, and you put gas in it, things like that. And then a deeper scientist like, well, there has to be the right gas or the right chemical reactions to go off in order for that to happen. And all those observations are correct. And maybe that's just how science is, and that could probably apply to anything. What's up, guys? This is Errol from ErrolTheAdventurer.
SpaceTalk321.com and Errol the Adventurer, the podcast. So a lot of people wonder, like, if you do believe in extraterrestrial life or anything like that, or ones that could come here, why would they come? What would they need? Because the fact of the matter is, all our resources that we have on Earth are actually quite abundant throughout the galaxy. Besides carbon-based organisms, as far as we know. But even water and all the different elements, that's all actually already out there, plenty of it. But when you think about the different level of civilizations, you got type 1, type 2, type 3, we're type 0. It all depends on how they produce their energy, how they get their energy, how they use it. When you take that in consideration, the only main resource that we have, that's something we need, that's not around, is up there. Our sun. That's my baby.
81 nautical miles now from Columbia.
Well, the long line is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us, and it's illuminated by the sun at such low angle. So there's a lot of stray light, and it's getting washed out quickly, but Claude is trying to do a quick, good job here adjusting the cameras.
What's up, guys? This is Errol from ErrolTheAdventurer.com, and I just wanted to share some thoughts when I be thinking about things like on Quetzalcoatl, which is the Aztec Plumed Serpent god, and that goes back to the Mayans, and that goes back to the Olmecs, all in the Yucatan Peninsula, known as Mexico. And here's the thing that stands out to me. Quetzalcoatl is known as a plumed serpent. By plumed serpent, it means feathers. A feathered dragon. Now, here's the interesting part to me. We now know that dinosaurs, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, probably had feathers. But we didn't know that until recently. So why would they even say that Quetzalcoatl was a plumed dragon? What's up, guys? These are the Adventures of Errol, and I was thinking about something that stuck out kind of odd to me. I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but apparently birds are dinosaurs. Or at least they're a type of dinosaur. Not all dinosaurs were birds, but birds are definitely a type of dinosaur. Like, there's a checklist. So the dinosaur was under me, which would have been perfectly okay because it would have just been a bird, right? But anyways, I lost my train of thought. There's like a specific checklist what constitutes a dinosaur, and birds fit it check for check. What made me think is that some birds can actually talk. They can not only mimic, well, there's three types. We have the parrots, the parakeets, and also ravens. All very smart birds. Smart enough to mimic human sounds. Not only some of them can mimic human sound, but they can actually say the words with comprehension of which word means what. So that makes me think that at least some dinosaurs could have been able to speak like people, possibly with comprehension, just as birds, because birds can do it. So if birds can do it, then there's no telling if other dinosaurs could do it. What made me think about that was I was once watching a making of the movie of Jurassic Park. And when it came to like them making dinosaur noises, they said, well, we really don't know what dinosaurs sound like because we weren't there. So we just kind of threw a bunch of different roars together and came up with that. But
now that we know that we actually do have some form of dinosaurs living amongst us today, which they make anything from screeching sounds to tweets to speaking of tweets, tweet this, retweet this, but tweets to hoots like what owls do, and then if they have to, they can talk like people. So I thought that was fascinating. Quite remarkable. Moving along, I was thinking about something else that was kind of weird, which was shapeshifters. The idea of shapeshifters, which I thought was completely ludicrous until actually seeing a shapeshifter. It wasn't a person, it happened to be an octopus. And apparently cephalopods, octopus, squids, and cuttlefish. I forget the scientific name for it. But apparently they can not only change colors at will, they can change the texture of their bodies to look like their surroundings, and they can also reform their body to look like other creatures on the seafloor or out the water, because I've also seen that certain octopus can actually move just fine on land, very slowly, but they have no problem crawling across land. I actually seen one pop out the water on YouTube, grab a crab and drug it back into the water. And we all know how smart octopus could be. But what I start speculating on is, wouldn't it be crazy, like when you have evolution and you have something that can literally shapeshift, like if they had a preferred few types of shapes or forms, they could actually adapt to perfecting more and more through evolution of what forms that they will be most proficient in. Basically like a controlled form of evolution, more or less. Like these types of octopus change form into this specific type of creature very well, and that's what they're good at. And over time, as their descendants, they pass on those genes to shift into that, then you have controlled evolution. Now, when you're talking about millions of years of evolution, we don't know if octopus have just started doing this, or if they've been able to do this, or there's other species of octopus or otherwise in the past that's been able to do that. And see, the weird thing about it is we did not know that octopus can do this until we just so happened to see them do this under the water. So when it comes to the idea of shapeshifters in the paranormal world, you have to consider that, like, you would not even know that they can do that until you just so happen to see them do that. And then it makes me think of things like Squidward on SpongeBob SquarePants. He walks. Oh, I also seen a video of an octopus running apparently on two legs under the water. I'm going to share the video. I'm going to try to attach it to this. And I'm like, well, if they're mimicking things, what the fuck is it mimicking that runs on two legs under the water? I understand it mimicking a sea snake. I understand it mimicking rocks and mimicking lionfish. But what is it mimicking that's bipedal on the seafloor? Maybe it was just an efficient way of getting across the floor, like what they call Convergent Evolution, which is when you have two species, totally separate species that look almost identical due to evolving in similar environments, like the rabbit and the hare. They're completely different, but they look almost the same. Anyways, where was I? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, so we don't know if they just started doing this or they've been able to do this, or if there's other creatures out there that can do this. And when you're talking about millions of years, or thousands of years, or hundreds of thousands of years, depending on how many generations it takes, depending on the lifespan of a creature and how many generations it takes for it to pass on its DNA, shapeshifters could be very real. I'm not saying I believe in them. I'm just considering the possibilities based on things that I myself and other people have observed, either personally or through digital media. So there's that. Things got a little weird, right? And you never know. You never know, I guess. You never know until you know. So these are the adventures of Errol, AOE 2020, AYOEEE 2020. Signing off. I got some more stuff to talk about in another video, but I'm almost at the end of my walk, so I just decided to stop and share that, you know? Alright, peace.
I was thinking about shapeshifters for some reason earlier. I think that the idea of shapeshifters is very interesting. I used to think that it was weird until I seen one on YouTube. Different cephalopods, octopuses/squids, can not only change colors, but also change their shape and texture, to look like different creatures, or even their surroundings. They are super intelligent. They use tools and have problem-solving skills rivaled by few in the animal kingdom. Some have no problems with moving on land. I've seen the videos, and it's horrifying, to be honest. Wouldn't it be something if over time, if something with the ability to shapeshift, it could control their own evolution? According to the concept of how evolution works, if a species that could remold itself after had a preference between a few different forms, in theory I imagine they could perfect mimicry as time goes by, but how much time would that take? I wonder. Just look at Squidward on the kids show SpongeBob SquarePants. I can imagine him as an actual cephalopod with all the abilities I had just mentioned, only he's in humanoid form. Who knows, perhaps through self-controlled evolution, the extremities may even fuse together and solidify to some degree, while maintaining a lot of the other original abilities. That would be crazy. I try not to be scared of things without a good reason. Some people and other creatures simply fear the unknown, which could have its benefits, and at other times it could be a hindrance. Are we scared because we are truly in danger, or are we scared because we just are? Not that this is related, but it's kinda hilarious that people don't believe in other intelligent life forms, because we never see them, and we could very much be the reason we never see them. Either we run away, or pass out, or we did our best to destroy them with a shoot first, ask question later policy. Or as I just mentioned, they could be shapeshifters, and we see them all the time and just don't know it. I was thinking about shapeshifters for some reason earlier. I think that the idea of shapeshifters is very interesting. I used to think that it was weird until I seen one on YouTube. Different cephalopods, octopuses/squids, can not only change colors, but also change their shape and texture, to look like different creatures, or even their surroundings. They are super intelligent.
So some things I was thinking about, and I want to know if they exist and could they work, is 1. Put cameras on top of drones instead of under them, so we can have our own personal Hubble telescopes, more or less. 2. Put cell phone technology inside of drones to maximize range and use radio towers or cell phone towers. It shouldn't cost more than any other cell phone to make that happen. 3. Stick turbines, generators between submarines to harness oceanic hydropower and run a cable to shore. That's my messed up drawing of it. But I was looking at different concepts of it, and I haven't quite seen that, but I was just wondering about that. Does it exist, or I don't know. What's up, guys? These are the adventures of Errol Fisher, and don't mind my hat. It was a gift, from I guess, to passerby. But let's talk about artificial intelligence for a second. Now, through some of the elections, it came to our attention that it was possible for other countries to manipulate us through social media. Well, if artificial intelligence, and a lot of it was through artificial intelligence, but what about advanced artificial intelligence, like I'm talking about Transformer type shit? Like, can they easily pose as people and manipulate us as human beings, technically? I mean, like, very easily. I don't know. These are the adventures of Errol. Errol, theadventurer.com. What's up, guys? This is Errol. Errol, the adventurer. I was wondering about solar panels. And I guess one of the reasons why they're so expensive when you put them on your roofs, well, they're in such big sheets, but I was wondering, is it possible to make solar panels smaller, like terracotta or tile roofs? So if it does break or something like that, you just have to replace that one little piece instead of one big sheet, you know, and it could be more custom and efficient because you could actually fit the size of the roof to the exact amount of solar panels necessary therefore. But you get the picture. ArrowTheAdventurer.com. Get up with me. I need answers. Once again, peace. Okay, what's up, guys? I'm still on my walk. I'm just walking around Lakeland, Florida. Medalla, to be exact. And I was thinking about time travel also. What's interesting is that a lot of scientists and physicists, starting with Albert Einstein, believe that time travel is possible. I mean, not the actual time travel that we're doing right now, because we're time traveling to the future, but we're doing it 1 second at a time, or however you want to, whatever unit of measurement for time that you want to use. But also I'm talking about like jumping into the future, maybe even the past, despite the whole grandfather thing. But the thing about time is that it goes on forever. So Albert Einstein and a lot of physicists are coming to the conclusion that time travel is possible, but we just don't have the technology to do it, and therefore it doesn't exist. But the crazy thing about that is that time goes on forever, like forever. So just as we drive around in automobiles right now, we fly planes, things like that. Now, everything that we needed to make an automobile has always existed on the planet. We just now acquired the means to make them. So, but technically, a car could have been built 1,000,000 years ago if you think about it like that. So, in addition to that, just because we don't have the means for it today, we don't know what the future will provide, assuming that we are there. Because, well, we all know that we're gonna die one day, but we never, consider that we as a species will be here. Just like plenty of species have died out before we were here and even as we were here. So not only could we or another species can develop a means of time traveling
in the future, but that also means, just like the automobile, it's also possible that time travelers can actually come from the past. Because, well, the Earth as we know it is about 4.5 billion years old. This planet Earth. And so our current technology that we're using today, in a digital age and a silicon age and things like that, post-industrial age, we've just acquired all of that in the past 200 years. And our species alone, as modern Homo sapiens, mankind, has been in existence for, depending on who you ask, 50,000, 100, and 50,000 years. So if all that can be accomplished in 200 years, then there's really no telling what could be done in even 100,000 in our own time. What you have to consider is sometimes knowledge could be lost. Like if you had a plane, an airplane full of everybody from the modern world with all their knowledge of the technology that we have available. Some can actually create it, some just know of it, some can only manipulate it once it is created, like an iPhone. And they crashed somewhere and they were away from what we know as modern civilization for generations upon generations. They can't duplicate the things that they began with. They know about iPhones, they know about cars, they know about planes, or knew about it, they told stories about it, but they can't make it. They don't have the means to make it. They don't have the mining capabilities or the manufacturing capabilities to do it without everybody involved. So, but at the same time, all of that stuff exists or has existed. I wonder, I've asked people this a lot, and I wonder how long would it take for all evidence of our existence to disappear from the earth? Keeping in mind that the earth has already been here 4 billion years, 4.5 billion years, I think it is. So would it be a million years? Like what would be left here after a million years? 200 million years. 200 million years is only, what, 1/5 of a billion years. So my question is, how long would it take for all evidence, depending on what you call evidence, of our existence, not only our existence but our technological capabilities? How long would that last? Or would they just find our bones, if that, depending on how it is that we became extinct? God forbid, maybe, depending on who you ask. But how long would that take? Look at my falcon. Well, it's not my falcon. Can you see it? Never mind. Anyways. So yeah, that's an interesting question. Some people think that existence or evidence of our existence would just be here forever. Like how? Like, you have so many things that can cover up. Like when you're talking about millions of years, you're talking about layers upon layers of earth covering things, plants growing over things once the earth covers it. You have water, you have water, you know what I'm saying, flooding places, and then you have water leaving places where water once existed, and it would kind of be hard to know the layout of human civilization for the most part. I mean, you probably will find some of it, but there's really no telling. A lot of stuff goes underwater, a lot of stuff rises out the water. So I just wonder about things like that. I think that's it. I would like to know other people's thoughts on this. So that's my take on time travel and stuff like that. So this is the adventure of Errol Fisher. Or these are the adventures of Errol Fisher. However, AOE 2020. Holla at me. Peace. So going back to the whole time traveling thing, I forgot to mention. I don't know if it dawned on anybody or if it is anything worth dawning on people. But what I was saying is, if time travel is possible and time goes on forever in the future and into the past, and we're talking about forever, I imagine that it's bound to be accomplished or has been accomplished. Just like our automobiles and computers and everything that we have today has been created, even though the resources were always here, we just never been able to utilize them or manipulate them properly. And if that is the case, then to me that quite possibly means that there are actually time travelers among us. You know, never mind, I saved that for a different video. Alright, I'm gonna get back on my adventures. I'll holler at you guys. AOE 2020, you know what it is. Peace. What's up, guys? This is Errol the Adventurer from ErrolTheAdventurer.com, and I was just watching the news, and it was about Space Force, and a lot of people are taking notice that the logo looks like something from Star Trek, almost in a replica. But here's something that I noticed: if you take the flag of Brazil and you take its capital seal, Brazilia's seal, and put that seal on top of the flag, it almost looks exactly like the logo. And Brazil is the only country that has a flag with stars on it that actually depict the night sky. The Scorpius constellation being one of the main ones. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm actually from Albany, and our state plaza is designed after Brazilia's, but that's just random information. But go check out the website for more weird stuff like this. So what's up, guys? I'm just making mental notes right now. I may redo this video. I might not. I might just run this one. This is Errol from ErrolTheAdventurer.com, and I was looking at a documentary about the Kuiper Belt. And first of all, let me say, people were upset that Pluto isn't a moon. Isn't a planet anymore. And the reason why they said it shouldn't be a planet, because if Pluto is a planet, then that means we have about 50 planets in a solar system, because we have planetary bodies similar to the size of Pluto out there. So anyways, I digressed on my last video.
here's my thing. If, I know this isn't probable, but is it possible if a craft could be built to be the size of a planet, it would still have the same kind of gravity that a planet would carry, even though you can steer it, right? And I know that doesn't seem very probable, but like if you were in space, space has everything that you need, and you probably would put it together like Legos out in space. Of course, you can't build something the size of a planet on a planet, but if you got it out there and build on it from all the minerals and stuff out there, you eventually have a planet-sized craft that you could steer. So, I'm not asking, is it possible? No, I'm not asking if it's probable. I'm asking, is it possible? And yeah, we probably could do that if we were out there. But I'm wondering, like, if there were such thing as things out there that were alive and very smart, would a craft the size of a planet could that be a thing? Because all you have to do is just start somewhere and just keep building onto it, right? I don't know. Granted that you had some kind of energy source and propulsion system or some kind of force manipulation system, and maybe you just have to steer it and it moves on its own because it has gravity, or it could tap into the gravity of other planetary bodies, being that it is now planetary body. So we're talking planetary body size crafts. Who knows? Because if you look at the Earth's core and with all the salt water and all, it almost looks like a nuclear facility. Almost. I'm not a nuclear physicist. I'm not a regular physicist. I'm just a guy who pays attention to stuff. Sometimes things click. Kind of looks like that. I don't know. Probably definitely wrong. Maybe I'm in the ballpark. I don't know. But I would like answers. So, this is Errol the Adventurer.com. Woo. Turn it up.
Hi guys, my name is Errol. Basically, here's the story. So I'm in booking with this guy. He's about 65 years old, and he's in there for a BUI, boating under the influence. And he was on his way to get bonded out. He was just, getting sober and stuff and waiting for somebody to come get him. But we started talking about different things in there. I was in there for a trespassing charge, a little incident in the mall, but that's neither here nor there, but in case you were wondering. He eventually said how he was a pilot for Delta. He's been pilot for Delta since the 70s. And I asked him specifically like this. I was like, well, have you ever encountered any unidentified aerial phenomena? Just like that. And he looks at me, he goes, what? And basically what he said was, he said, granted, this was by Panama City, and he said there was a naval air base nearby, or Air Force base nearby. He said, I've been flying for 50 years. He said, I can't tell you what it was, but I can tell you what it was not. And he said it wasn't any kind of plane. It wasn't any kind of helicopter. It wasn't anything that I've ever seen before. And how it happened was, he said, I've been waiting my whole life for this. He said he was flying and his co-pilot, he said, do you see that up there? And then he starts being, you know, like a jerk, like, oh, what is it, the moon? You know, blase squaws. And he's like, no, look. And he said it was about a mile out. He said it was large. I want to say a few football fields. And he said it was molting and color changing. And it just kept changing colors. And it was really bright. And then people all on the side of the plane were freaked out too. They had to calm them down. They wanted to know what was going on. And I forget whether he said if the air control people on the headset seen anything on radar. I don't recall. But if you'd like to verify that, my name is Errol Tucker, and this was in Brevard County Jail. I was in there for a trespassing charge. So if you can find my name when I was booked in West Melbourne, but I went to Brevard County, or no, it was maybe West Melbourne Police or Melbourne Police Station that I went to. And if you find that date, his last name was Scott. I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Scott. And that's his story. That's pretty much everything I remember, because I was a little tipsy at the time too. But that's most of the story, and it was pretty cool. So, and he said that's only happened once, and like he said, he said he don't know what it was, he can just tell you what it wasn't. And he said there was an Air Force base nearby, but he said it was huge. It was molting and it was changing colors. That's it. So, peace guys. I'm just walking around. So, but anyways, have a good day, night, whatever. Peace. What's up guys? The Adventures of Errol. I'm still on my hike, walking around, thinking about stuff. So, I was watching something, I think it was Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And somebody asked him about what he thought about alien abductions, or abductions by transdimensional or extraterrestrial entities, what have you. And he kind of made a joke out of it, and that's cool too, because there is really no proof of it. And his suggestion was to swipe something off of an intergalactic vessel. Now, that sounds like a great idea, but I've actually known people who kind of made stealing like a career. And kind of one of the first rules is that nice people normally have surveillance systems. So if something can cross time and space, like a millennia's worth of advanced technology, I'm pretty sure they will have a secure security system in place. Not to mention, some claim to be sedated psychically or something like that. But, and then who wants to end up in moon prison? or Zeta Reticula jail? I mean, it's bad enough being in jail on Earth, trust me. But I don't know if you want to steal something from entities that can do things that we can barely even dream of. In addition to that, back to Earth, I know that people are abducted every day by other people Sometimes they're returned, sometimes they're not returned, and there is often no evidence. And that's with minimum technologically advanced equipment necessary. So I don't think that's a good argument against the idea of people being abducted by things from another world, if such entities exist, or this world. I say that because, well, ain't that nice? I say that because, now, I'm not a big fan of the idea of a hollow earth theory. And that sounds kind of crazy when you think about it. But now, if somebody said hollow crust theory, that might be different. Being that the Earth's crust, where there's not an ocean, is about 18 miles deep. Under the ocean is about 3 miles. And so, well, according to what scientists have calculated. Now, when you talk about caves, see, our own atmosphere goes up for about 2-3 miles. But there are caves that have been discovered where you could fit like a 140-story building in it. I think it's one in Vietnam. I can't think of it right now. And they found it had a whole ecological biosystem habitat inside of it that man has never seen. There's also places that light has never touched, and they found an ecological system there developed over time. I think that one is in Romania. I can't think of the name. But either way, hollow earth does sound a little crazy if you're talking about going to the middle of the earth. But how much space does one need, you know what I'm saying, to thrive? Like, caves can get pretty big, and a lot of them we can't even get to. So I don't know about that. I don't know. That also kind of applies to Mars too when you think about it. Because if they said Mars or even Venus, if Mars shows evidence of having running water once, well then it more than likely has a shitload of, that has a bunch of cavern systems, because a lot of the cavern systems on Earth are a result of erosion and things like that. Underwater lakes and underwater seas, some that we still actually have here on Earth. And the water goes away, and then you have these large cavern or cavernous systems. So I think that applies to Venus also. Sometimes I wonder, we might, if such a thing was possible, we could be the only ones living on the surface of the planets in our solar system, like a bunch of jabronis. Everybody else might just be using the surface of their planet as the atmosphere. I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, when you go into terraforming, talking about terraforming Mars and building biodomes, why build a biodome when you could just find a cave and seal it off? I actually got that idea from the movie Evolution. Yeah, you know, Evolution. I think it had the Sprite guy in it. If you're younger, you don't know about the Sprite guy. But it was on Everybody Hates Chris a couple of times, I think. I don't know. Anyways, black guy. But either way, long story short, a meteor or something crashing to the earth, and everything took refuge into this cave, and then the caves started creating an atmosphere within the cave, just like we need oxygen. Well, these microorganisms started producing the type of atmosphere that was necessary to thrive from wherever its origins were, which is kind of what happened here on Earth. Our planet, as we know it, was terraformed by microorganisms, which eventually transformed into photosynthesis and things like that, and bringing more oxygen into the air, stuff like that. Either way, I digress. But yeah, why build a biodome when you could just go into a cave? You know, assuming that you're not eaten by cave monsters, large and small. Yeah, that's not funny. But I think that's all I have. I forgot where I started. That was a bit of a rabbit hole. But either way. Oh yeah. I was talking about the possibility of abductions from off-world and underworld entities. Because, I mean, just like we don't live down there, we don't care to, it's not good for us. If something lives down there, then why would they want to come to the surface and live? It's not good for them. It's not what they like. It's not what they do. So, if such a thing exists, I'm speculating. But it's just something to think about. But I'll get up with you guys. I'm gonna finish my hike. You feel me? So, peace. These are the adventures of Errol. AOE 2020. AYOEEE 2020. Peace. Wow. Check it out. I didn't do any of this, by the way. I just come here to take my time. Welcome to Polk County, Florida. Equatorian red bananas. Cool, right? Okay, on with the journey.